So you got to address the mouth. Then, as we talked about in the book, it's also good to address the gut.
Mm-hmm.
When you're taking a diet that doesn't give you good bowel function and doesn't really give you a bowel movement at least twice a day, not once a day, twice a day, okay? You're getting a lot of stasis in your colon, and you're getting the proliferation of the same type of bacteria that we're talking about in the mouth. Clostridium, these are highly, highly potent toxins. These are the ones that are, of course, responsible for botulism, our prototype horrible toxicity. So when you have a constipated, sluggish gut filled with these bacteria, and they're producing these toxins around the clock, where do you think the toxins are going? They're getting absorbed into the blood, and they're keeping you down as well. So it's not just a good health type tip. It's a very critical tip for getting a person that has a chronic degenerative disease, heart disease, perhaps the beginning of cancer, lupus, collagen vascular disease, high blood pressure, any of these chronic degenerative diseases. It's a very critical part to take away that toxin load as well. And I actually wrote a separate book on this, Optimal Nutrition for Optimal Health, that goes into a lot more detail than this particular book on how to get your gut into optimal condition, okay? Because that's critical. Eliminate the dental toxins and eliminate other obvious toxins. I say and I focus on dental because it's the most critical in most people. But if you live next door to an aluminum plant pumping out aluminum fumes all day long, that for you is going to be more toxic than your dental. So if you've eliminated all other regional exposures, your dental is number one. Getting your gut healthy is number two, and then taking the quality supplementation is number three.
I've found it interesting in your book in that number two area that you were talking about, not only the diet and the importance of certain kinds of combinations of foods and so on that people, I think oftentimes don't ever even think about. Also, one thing I found interesting was your suggestion that people should not drink a lot of liquid with a meal.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting because how you eat, not just what you eat, but how and in what order you consume it is incredibly critical on whether or not you have a healthy gut or a constipated gut. In the early part of the 1900s, Dr. Ivan Pavlov, another Nobel Prize winner, the Pavlovian dogs, ring the bell, salivate, he was a very prominent gastrointestinal physiology researcher. And he did a whole series of elegant studies, perhaps not elegant for people that didn't want to see animals abused, but he got an incredible amount of information. And he found in investigating basic digestion in what they called the open stomach preparation on dogs. They were able to just gain direct access to the stomach and then observe how digestion proceeded. So he found that when he put starch directly into the stomach, it was completely digested and processed into the stomach and passed beyond the pylorus into the gut in roughly 90 minutes. Okay. Then he took ground up, not big chunks, ground up pieces of meat and put it into the stomach separately by itself. The whole process had it going through the pylorus and into the intestine in 3 hours. Okay.
Twice
1.5 hours, 3 hours. Then, I don't know if he was just doing this randomly or if he had his own insight as to what was going wrong with digestion in so many people, but he put starch and meat together at one time. And how long do you think it took before that food complex got pushed through the pylorus into the intestine? 8 to 9 hours.
Wow.
Well, you pretty much
sounds like
defined,
a hamburger.
that's you got it. And you pretty much defined constipation. You took something that shouldn't have taken any more than 3 hours to get from point A to point B, and now you've taken 8 to 9 hours to get there. And then when you continue that same process, that same ignoring of food combination principles, then when you add to that a large amount of fluid, you dilute out the digestive enzymes, much less of the food mass gets properly digested, and then what happens? If it doesn't get digested, it rots and putrefies. So if you don't get food through your gut and out in a properly digested fashion in roughly 10 to 12 hours, the longer it stays in, the more it's going to rot and putrefy.
And of course, also dump the toxins.
Dump the toxins. I like to make the point that if not for ourselves or for other people, you know, there are these people that when they use the bathroom, nobody else can use the bathroom for an hour. The point is that shouldn't be the case. If you're digesting well, somebody should be able to go into the bathroom immediately after you leave and not really notice that much of a problem odor-wise. And odor relates directly to less odor, more digestion. More odor is less digestion and more putrefaction.
Okay. Very interesting.
So you have eliminate or minimize the dental toxins, optimize the diet so that you digest correctly. I mean, there are a lot of things in the book where I suggest, you know, different foods are obviously better than other foods, but it's super critical to understand that whatever you decide to eat, try to eat it in a combination manner in which it's properly and completely digested. Okay. Meat, for example, meat is associated with increased incidence of colon cancer. So all the vegetarians jump on the wagon and say, well, you should never eat meat. Well, it's improperly digested meat that causes colon cancer. If you don't eat, for example, a pound of meat, but 2 ounces of it, and you chew it 60 or 70 times before you swallow each bite versus wolf it down, and you combine it properly so it processes through the gut, you not only don't have the increase in colon cancer, you have the benefit of a large amount of vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you're simply not going to get on a vegetarian diet. Probably the most beneficial thing about a vegetarian diet is a lot of vegetarians are accidentally practicing good food combinations. And so they get less food rotting in the gut. But the vegetarians that like lots of sweets and lots of fruits and combine them, they have just as toxic a gut as the meat eater.
Very interesting.